Good afternoon, everyone. We're here back with the Bowling Springs Coaches Show. We've been, well, not really the Bowling Springs Sports Journal Coaches Show. I will say I can't just say that one team or another because we're going to have a few different teams here. But we haven't done this since Coach Matt Reel in the football season, but we figured it's January. We got Coach Craig Martin of the Bowling Springs Bulldogs, the number 8th ranked Bowling Springs Bulldogs in 5A poll. Coach, I know the polls don't really mean a whole lot to you, but that's pretty special. You teams in the top 10, ain't it?
Yeah, I guess it's special until people figure out that you probably shouldn't be 8. So I've never been big on. I mean, it's nice. It's good that, the community likes it, the kids like it, the parents like it. I hate it. It just makes that target on your back that much bigger, and sometimes, we get so many kids paying attention to the polls and rankings, and whether it be a player ranking or a team ranking, and then they forget about, what's right in front of them. And what's right in front of them is the best region in the state and probably one of the better leagues in the Southeast. And it really doesn't matter what you rank. You got to play those guys in front of you and do what you need to do there. But it's a testament, I guess you could say, to how much work has been put in by our guys on the court, on the track, conditioning, and in the weight room to be able to even be considered a better team in the state. But all that being said, is we got a long, long ways to go before we can really start worrying about rankings and things like that.
Well, Coach, you talk about just talking about the rankings, and you talked about the region. You guys started region play with a big game against Dorman, came up just short, and you think, wow, we played that one ranked team in our region. Nope, you got a few more coming up down the road. Just talk about what it's like playing in such a tough region. I know you came from Myrtle Beach, where y'all played some of the tough basketball down that way. But talk about what it's been like being up in this 5A region.
Well, like you said, coming from Myrtle Beach, our region that we had there was loaded. I remember at one point, I think 5 out of the top 10 teams were ranked in our region, and it's really not a whole lot different here. I guess the one thing that I have noticed about the upstate, they take basketball extremely serious. They put a high emphasis on it. You could just tell, where the money goes, the facilities, the resources, what's available here. You can really see it in the gyms. You can see it in the technology that's used to help scout and recruit, and I shouldn't say recruit, but scout and it's different. But every night, whether it was at Myrtle Beach or again whether it's here, you're challenged. And up here, you got some of the best coaches that I've ever coached against. Almost every single night, if you're not on your A game, you're going to get beat. So you better prepare. You prepare early and often, and understand that those guys are doing the same things, getting ready for you. So if you're not ready as a coach, if you haven't done your work pre-game, you're going to get exposed. But I love the challenge. I love the opportunity to play against some of the best teams in the state, and it's always been fun. It really helps you kind of see where you're at. It helps you. I guess it humbles you in many ways, and it's really pushed me to continue to grow and learn and ask questions and do research and study and just try and make myself better as a coach, but also push my kids to become better as players and as a team and individually.
Coach, you've not only played a tough region schedule, or will have a tough region schedule throughout the rest of the year. You've played some pretty good teams in tournament-wise. You played one over in Greenville. You had West Side and Goose Creek and Travelers Rest and people like that. I know it's important to you, but explain to people why it's so important for you to play such tough schedules outside of region to get ready for that region play?
Yeah, well, I've always said and always talked about how you never want to go. Well, first of all, the whole objective is region play. You got to prepare yourself for region play. But then, even more importantly, it's getting into the playoffs and making a run. And you never want to go into the playoffs playing a team that is better than the ones that you've played previously. And as the longer that I'm here, you're going to see our schedule continue to get tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher. Primarily for that reason is I never want to go into a playoff game thinking that this is the best team that we have played all year. I don't want that. I don't like that. I always like playing the absolute toughest teams that you can find preseason or pre-region. So when you get into your region and you get into the playoffs, it's not unfamiliar. But, in our region, all that being said, our region has, in my opinion, the best teams in the state. So when we're looking at tournaments, a lot of times you try and communicate with the tournament organizer, and this used to drive people crazy years ago, that I'd always tell them we want to play the absolute best team first game that's in the tournament. And people always looked at me like I was crazy, but really when it comes down to it, you want to put your teams in positions to compete against the best. So again, when they get to those positions in the region and in the playoffs, that they're not unfamiliar with it and it's not a shock to their system. But I think our guys are growing accustomed to playing against these teams and competing against these teams. But like I said, we still got a long ways to go. We're still growing. We're still improving. But I'm happier with the direction that we're going now than I have been in the past.
You as we're recording this is the day of the Great Snowmageddon. Yeah. I know from someone from Detroit that you're probably just chuckling about that, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm not. I told somebody earlier. I said this is just another June day back home.
It's like I told everybody when we were originally being forecasted for it. I told them, said, I don't know why y'all are all cheering for snow. It's just going to end up being ice. That's all we get in the South is ice.
Yeah, and that's worse than the snow. I mean, I think everybody can deal with the snow, but you put that ice down and there's no stopping it. That's dangerous.
That used to be my argument with a neighbor of mine that was from the north, and I told him, I said, look, nobody can drive in ice. I don't care where you're from.
No, not at all.
Coach, you just coming off a win over Eastside. It was a hard-fought game between the two of you. Just talk about that one, and because not that Eastside's not a good basketball team, but that just shows how the depth of this region is. That's just another good team that y'all are having to play night in and night out.
Yeah, I thought they did a phenomenal job. I'm talking about Eastside. I thought Eastside offensively was very, very good. I thought defensively we were absolutely atrocious. We couldn't stay in front of the ball. We didn't help one another. It was very frustrating to me because I thought defensively that we were moving in the right direction. We were doing a lot of good things, and all of a sudden you come back from Christmas break and come back and you're playing this big region game, and defensively we just looked terrible. And that's we've spent the last handful of days really focusing on getting back to our fundamentals defensively and our principles and that toughness aspect that we've always been pushing onto them. But credit to the East Side, they have really, really improved. They have a few good players on there that are very, very good with the ball, good at getting to the basket. They're complete offensive players. They can pass, dribble, shoot. They're making shots, contested shots. But when it all comes down to it, we were able to do enough to get out of that game with a win. And that was, I mean, that's so important. It's so important for our program. And I know, Bowling Springs has been around forever, but program-wise, this is my third year in the program. And program-wise, it's big. It's big to start winning games where you might not play as good as what you expect. And that's what we have to learn to do. But credit the East Side. I mean, their coaching staff did a great job preparing for us. They gave us different looks defensively. Offensively, they had an answer for pretty much everything that we were trying to do. And, the good thing about it is we won. And it was a great learning experience for us. It showed me some of the things that we got to spend a little bit more time on. And I think the next time we play them, we're going to be a little bit more prepared and ready to do what's necessary to have a better game.
Well, speaking of that, now, I know you're big about defense, and the old saying is defense wins championships.
Yeah.
You got a big couple games coming up against Riverside and the J.F. Burns.
Yep.
James F. Burns Rebels, who are, if I remember right, are number one in the 5A poll we were just talking about.
They're there. They're somewhere. I know they are absolutely on fire. And Riverside is really, I mean, these are two really, really good teams.
Just talk about what you see in both those teams. I mean, I know you don't want to give anything away that you scouted early on, but
I mean, everybody in this region, everybody already knows what you're going to do. I mean, it's right there. Everybody, like I was saying earlier, the access to film and video and different things that you can do to kind of scout teams it's there for everybody, and everybody's using it. Both teams are really, really good. Riverside, with their dribble drive offense, and they got players that play really well together, that understand their roles, accept their roles, and execute their roles as good as anybody in the region. So we're going to have our hands full with them. They've played a tough schedule. Very, very good team. I think they're in the top 5 or so in the smaller 5A category. So there's no break. If you're not disciplined defensively, if you're not physical and aggressive defensively against them, they're going to tear you apart. They're very skilled, great passers, good scheme. They can shoot the ball. And like I said, if you're not disciplined in your defense, if you can't figure out a way to control the tempo and control that end of the court, they're just going to smoke you. So we're going to spend a lot of time preparing for them, and then we're just going to have to turn around and play probably the hottest team in the state of South Carolina, which is Burns, with probably one of the, if not the best player in the state, with Fowler. And, they have done a great job coming off a state championship run where, they had a great team, just ran into a team that was just absolutely loaded. But,
in that beautiful Florence Civic Center.
Oh, yeah, that place is a gem in South Carolina, to say the least. But, Coach Fowler over there does a great job with his kids, and tough, hard-nosed. They grind it out. They, again, very similar to Riverside. They know what they're supposed to do. They do it. They execute it as good as anybody else in the state. And, again, it's going to be one of those games, hopefully, that we can compete, fight, dig in, and just, it's one of those situations when you're a young program playing against these established programs, you just don't go from being this, it's like being a child, you just don't go from the crib to running a marathon. It's step by step, it's process. And we've got to learn, first thing that we got to learn to do is to learn how to compete. Then you got to consistently compete. And once you've consistently compete, you start competing against teams that you're not supposed to compete against. And then all of a sudden you do that, then you start beating teams that you're not supposed to beat, or people think you're not supposed to beat. Then you got to do that consistently. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're trying to learn how to compete and trying to compete against teams that maybe we're not as good as or not as skilled as. But there's no excuse. We got a good group of guys. We got 2 great seniors. with Reese, Walter, and Jameer Wright, who have done a phenomenal job this year. Those two guys are leading in the right direction. They're as tough as anybody in our region. And it's just a matter of all the other guys behind them following that suit and getting out there every night and busting their butt to play the right way.
Well, I was going to say, Coach, I think everybody knows about Reese. I mean, he's your top scorer. He leads your team up and down the court. I think I even talked with you last year when y'all were looking for a point guard to lead the team. He's not a natural point guard, but he became your point guard. And how special a player he is. And the one that has been such a surprise to me is how valuable Jameer is. I wrote a story about it the other day about how he only had 2 points against Eastside, but he had 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. He was doing what everybody used to call the dirty work, or as you know, like you used to do. I know you're a Pistons fan. He done the Dennis Rodman type stuff.
No, there's no doubt, and he is very, very similar to that. That type of player. Back in the olden days when they were wearing really short shorts and fouls and hand checking and knocking people down, and then they weren't technicals and they weren't intentional fouls, and you had to keep playing until someone was hemorrhaging on the court. But Jameer he's just a dog, an absolute dog. Most time he's going to go out there and guard their best player. And it doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if it's a point guard. Doesn't matter if it's a post player. He can guard anybody on the court. His energy is better than anybody I've ever had. And it's so fun to watch him. And here's the thing. Everybody sees him do it in games. That's every day. It's every day in practice. He's the one that's bringing energy. He's the one that's communicating. He's the one that's talking. He's the one diving on the court. And then all of a sudden you start to see other people start to do some of the same things. We just need everybody to do that. He plays the right way. And it's so fun to coach. It's so fun to be around him. We're definitely going to miss him when he leaves, but he's setting a precedent or standard of how you're supposed to lead and how you're supposed to play. And these other guys really need to step up and follow that lead because it's the right way. It's 100% the right way. And he's one of those guys that doesn't have to score to have a huge, huge impact on the game. And it's just been an absolute pleasure to be around him and be able to coach him. And he is, like I said, we're really, really going to miss him, but we are really hoping that we can continue to move forward and compete and do the best that we can in this region to extend his senior season as long as possible. And, talking about Reese, Reese has been another guy. Last year he was running the point. This year we've had some younger guys come in. Braylon and Ty have come in and done a pretty decent job of running the one at times. And so now we've put Reese on the wing, and then sometimes we put Reese in the post. And he has done just a great job. The kid can play so many different positions, and him, very similar to Jameer, can guard so many different spots, primarily because both of them have spent so much time in the weight room. And, our Coach Blackwood in the weight room has done a phenomenal job with these kids. And it's just benefited us, and it's going to continue to benefit us the more we stay consistent, stay in the weight conditioning, keep working on our skill. It's going to help the basketball program and obviously the football program.
Coach, that was just you talk about those players, and I was watching the game. I wasn't able to actually be there in person, but the crazy thing when y'all were playing the East Side, I would see Jameer or Reese going up to the top of the key, and I go where the center usually is and working the ball in to other people, and I'm going, when you have two players like that can play anywhere on the court, that how valuable is something like that?
Oh, it's great, and there's no hesitation. I mean, a lot of times, especially in today, a lot of kids are no, I'm a one, or I'm a two, or they're gonna roll your eyes, or they're gonna you know smack their lips. They're gonna be upset that they're not in this spot or that spot. These guys don't even hesitate. You tell them, okay, you're gonna be the five. He's the five. You're gonna be the four. It doesn't matter. They play whatever position. They're basketball players. I mean, whatever they want to be on the court, they want to do what's best for their team. Whatever you ask of them, that's what you're going to get, and that's how it's supposed to be. I mean, it's high school basketball. It's a privilege to be out there representing your school and have an opportunity to play. This is the only time in these kids' lives that you're going to have a chance to, one, go to a place you can play absolutely every single sport that you want to play, not pay $1, and just have fun with your friends. And I think a lot of times we kind of forget that, and we're in the day and age of where, oh no, you got to specialize in this, or you can't do this, you can't. Nah, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these kids need to experience and play every single sport that they possibly can. They need to develop those relationships. They need to have those memories that are going to last forever. Because when high school's over, it does, and you've seen this in college sports. It becomes a business. It is a business now, especially at the highest level. But back to those guys. They do whatever you tell them to do. And there's no hesitation. There's no rolling of the eyes. There's no questioning what they just do it, because I think a lot of it's the trust that we have developed between the players, and again, they know we're trying to do what's best for the team, and whatever needs to be done is exactly what they're going to do.
Well, Coach, I don't want to take up all your time, but we got one more question for you. You going to roll up against you have Riverside and J.F. Burns. I don't know why I keep calling him James F. Burns, but then you have Gaffney, and then you get to do it all over again.
I know.
How fun is it going to be going through this one more time?
Well, it is. I mean, it's a lot of work. You're sitting here breaking down opponents, breaking down tendencies of what each individual player does on each team, who's coming off the bench, who can shoot, who can't shoot, how we're going to guard this, what baseline out of bounds or running sideline. I mean, you spend a lot of time, hours upon hours, breaking down film and watching, and then at the same time, you're trying to develop your own team and what we need to improve on, and you're scouting yourself, and it's not going to get any easier the second time around because everybody's got film on you. You've played against them. It's kind of like the rematch. You're going to have it's going to be a slobber knocker, and that's what we expect. I enjoy it. I truly enjoy it. I've never been in any other place that I've loved more than Boiling Springs. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here and coach here and have an opportunity to develop a program and build something pretty much from the ground up, and then have the administration that supports you the way they do. So it's fun. It's a lot of work, but to me, this is, work is fun. Coaching these guys is fun. Being a part of the Boiling Springs community is fun. And I just hope that we can continue to build and develop something that people are going to be proud of, that they can kind of look at and say that's ours and support, because that's what this place deserves.
Well, Coach, I thank you for your time. And as always, I guess, go Dogs.
And no kid, man. All day, every day.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right, man.
We want to say thank you once again to Coach Craig Martin of the Bowling Springs basketball program. And right before we get to our next guest, Coach Zach Baldinelli of the Chesnee Eagles, let's get a quick word in from our sponsor, Wings Etc. Bowling Springs.
Hey, do you want weekly specials on award-winning wings? Of course you do. And they're here at Wings Etc. Mondays is bone-in and boneless wings, and Thursdays is boneless wings, special pricing, Mondays and Thursdays, Wings Etc. Well, go.
And if you haven't taken advantage of those deals at Wings Etc., you're missing out, because it's some of the best deals in Spartanburg County. It's best deals in the area. I go there every Tuesday or every Monday and Thursday. to get wings, boneless, traditional. Great day. Go out and see them. Tell them we sent you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we thank Coach Martin once again earlier with his interview. We're now bringing in another ranked team coach, former Bulldog. He used to be a pretty decent player, maybe still be the best shooter on this team. I don't know. But head coach Zach Baldinelli of the number 9 ranked Chesnee Eagles. Coach, welcome in.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate the introduction. And you were absolutely right. I am still the best shooter on our team.
Well, I was going to say I'd have to see a lot better shooting than most high school kids have to be outshoot the legend himself.
Listen, man, I still got it from time to time. The knees still hurt, but the shot never goes away.
It's like I used to tell Coach McManus when you played. I bet you still could outshoot most of these kids on the free throw line.
And he could, too. He could. He could. He'd make them with his eyes closed.
Oh, and he would do that on purpose to make y'all feel bad about yourself.
I know it.
Coach, sorry, I know you're the coach, but it feels so weird for me to say that because I've known you for so long as just Zach as the basketball coach or basketball player. But Coach, big win last night over Landrum, and I'll be honest with you, it was a win. I knew your team had a shot to win, but the way y'all won over the 4th ranked Cardinals, man, that was a huge for any team to get a win like that, but especially over a 4th ranked team in the state.
Yeah. No, it was big, man. You know, we talked going into this week. This was going to be our toughest week of the year and one of our most important weeks of the year because we went over to, the number 1 team in the state at High Point on Tuesday. And then, we took a tough loss there. We grinded it out. We hung with them for most of the game, just kind of ran out of gas. And so, it was a quick bounce back. We had to go over to Landrum. And as you know, Landrum, they've kind of ran the league for the last decade, almost 2 decades now. They've pretty much ran the league. And anytime you go over there, man, it's a crazy environment. Like you said, number 4 team in the state. But, man, our kids, just the way that our kids have worked, the way that they paid attention the day before at practice to the scout, the way they, attacked the film session, and just how focused they were the day of the game. I knew going in that I felt really comfortable with our kids based on their preparation. And I'm just so proud of them, man. We executed perfectly. We took great shots. We think we had over 20 assists as a team last night, which was huge. Bench was engaged. We got some great production off the bench. Guys stepped up, man. And, it was one of those games where I just felt like we were doing everything the full 32 minutes. So it really was a special night. It was a big step forward for our program.
We talked about in the story last night, Eli Brown had 30 points, and just the ability that he has shown. I remember watching him as a freshman thinking, this kid could be kind of special. He's got the tools. And now he's, as a junior, is really putting it all together. Just talk about how special of a player he is.
Man, he has been incredible. I haven't seen a better player than him this season. I didn't see one this summer. And what makes him so good is he does everything well. But aside from all that, he takes charges. He dives on the floor after loose balls. He's always pass first. He blocks shots. He rebounds. He's a great leader. He talks. He never has a bad practice. And, at the end of last season, he had a huge sophomore year. He and I had a conversation just about what it was going to take to get him to that next level. And, man, he attacked the spring in the weight room all summer. He was in the gym. And, man, he has been huge. Like I said, man, a lot of times the points show up, but what he does for us aside from scoring is greater than anything, man. And he's actually playing point guard for us. He's a 6'4" point guard. And he's bigger, and so physically he's a mismatch problem for most teams. But he never has a bad night, man. And he's fun to coach, and I'm just real proud of him.
I was going to say, I know y'all had a big win over SCA, who always is a solid, from a basketball standpoint, a solid team, and gives a lot of teams trouble in the public school league. But he had 0 points in that game, and y'all still were able to come out with a win.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk about how important we know about Eli, but how important everybody else stepping up in your team is, especially on a night maybe he doesn't have it, but how much even more important and why it was such a big win when people step up, especially on nights that he is shooting the ball well.
Well, I mean, it just goes back to just our team, man. Our kind of motto this year has been together. We got to do it together, and we've really bought into playing incredibly unselfish. And fortunately, we have pieces this year, that complement each other well. And it's usually, when someone might not be scoring as much, somebody else always steps up. I mean, you look at our team. We got Coy Poole back, who had a great year last year. He's one of the best shooters in South Carolina, one of the top-ranked players in South Carolina. He made over 75 threes on 50% shooting last year from behind the arc. He's a threat from behind the arc. Then you got Ben Reese, who has had an incredible junior season. He's really stepped up in a lot of categories for us. Again, a knockdown shooter, but also gets to the paint. High IQ, knows how to play. You got the X factor on Braylon Blanton, who does so much for our team, and so much of it does not show up in the scorebook or the stats. It's deflections, it's charges, it's steals, it's a block shot. It's just energy. He makes other teams play our pace, and he is also incredibly unselfish. He can score when he needs to, but he's always pass first. And you got Hayden Barnett, who played a good amount as a junior last year, but has really bought into the center position this year, averaging almost 9 rebounds a game for us. He's been huge in the paint, shooting it great from the free throw line. He's got a good mid-range jumper. But, so we got a good mix of guys. And then on top of that, you got guys coming off the bench. You got a senior in Sawyer Epps who's been around the program for 4 years. You got 3 guys up from the JV, or 3 or 4 guys up from the JV, Carson Mavula, Coy Wall, Ty Davis. You got Colton Swan, who played last year, who's been a leader for us. You got Mike Crawford, who's coming along. Like, we got a good group of kids this year. And we're pretty young, but I've just been real impressed with the way they've executed, man. They're a lot of fun to coach.
That's the thing is a lot of people don't realize is how young your team still is. I remember when you were sending in the preview for the season preview before the season started, and I saw Barnett was like 6'6", and Coy Wall was 6'7". I said, Where were these kids when Zach actually played basketball? Because he didn't have a 6'7" guy around him.
Nah, I never did. We're big. There's no doubt about it. We got a big team.
But with that size, allowing Eli Brown to go out and play the point guard, just how impressive is this? How deep can this team go in the once the playoffs get around?
Well, I mean, we're a team that can beat anybody, man. I mean, we really are. I mean, we talked about that first group, but, man, the production from Carson Mavula, Coy Wall, Ty Davis, some of these guys off the bench have been great for us too, man. And, the thing that I love most about the team is they're always even-keeled. They're never really too high. They're never really too low. We're having a great season. We're building off of what we did last year. We're getting this program where, heading back in the right direction of where it needs to be. I mean, we're a team that nobody wants to play. I can tell you that because they know every time you play us, man, we're going to give you a fight. We're going to keep clawing at you. And these kids have just bought in, man. But, the sky's the limit for this team. I don't even think we've hit our ceiling yet, to be honest with you. And so we just got to keep working consistently. And, consistency over time, it produces results. So, sky's the limit for us, man.
That's one thing about your team is the craziness. I looked at it last night because I couldn't remember what your record was, and I looked it up. And y'all are 11-4 and 2-2 in the region. That just shows how good this region that y'all are playing in is.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. It's very competitive this year. It's still anybody's league. We have 3 top 10 teams in the region, and then you got, Blacksburg is very good. Liberty is very good. Greenville Tech and Brazier have both competed well with a bunch of different teams this year. It's brutal, man, and it's anybody's league, and that's the thing. You have to bring it night in and night out. If you don't, there's going to be a very good team in our league that doesn't get to play past the regular season. It is what it is. We talked about that in our preseason coaches meeting. Some team is not going to make the playoffs that deserves to be in the playoffs. It's just one of those years for our league, and it's fun though. I mean, it's fun. That's how you want it to be. It's exciting basketball, night in, night out. You just got to bring it every single night.
I know you and me have joked about this before about your schedule sometimes. Who was the person that put together y'all having the two of the top 10 ranked teams in the same week?
The region schedule, the ADs and stuff make up, so that is not on me. and two on the road in the same week.
Yeah, I was going to say two. Not even, but the good thing about that is you had them two on the road this time around. You'll have them two at home the next go around.
I know it. So yeah, that last week or two of the season, we get them both at home, which will be good. I'm glad it's out of the way. But yeah, no, that had nothing to do with me. I'm handed the region schedule. So
I was going to say, I think we need to consult with somebody about a little bit of scheduling for your team sometimes. How I know when you first took this job, you were well, I was going to say you were young. You still are very young as a coach.
Yeah.
How has the learning process been for you, but to have such a good group of kids to be going through your first couple of years as a head coach?
Man, I'll tell you what, when you first take the job, and you're right, I was very young and not a lot. I mean,
well, you're not much older now, but
I don't know. You're right. But I don't know if anybody at my age gets a job that young. It very rarely happens, if ever has happened. I have learned so much. You think you know everything when you start, but as you keep going, you start figuring out that you really know nothing. I am only as good as my staff. That was one of the big things that I wanted to do when I got there, is hired a great staff. I got Andrew Ormond, who has coached at Union County, at Greenville High School. He's been a part of two incredible programs, won a lot of basketball games. And then I also have Philip Hambright, who played on the undefeated Gaffney team that was national champions, coached under Coach Huff for, I think, 10 years at Gaffney.
Now, is that Coach Huff, is he any good? I've never heard of that name.
He's pretty good, man. Look him up. He's pretty good, yeah. And so when you have two guys that have that kind of experience and are better than you and know more than you, and they make me better every day, I'm only as good as them. But to answer your question, I mean, it's just experience, man. It's, you think you know everything going in, like I said, but as you keep going, you learn and learn and learn. I'm a way better coach than I was last year, this year, and I got a feeling in 5 years I'll be a way better coach than I am now. It's like anything else, but the kids that have completely bought in, the coaches are fantastic. I got two great JV coaches. I got a middle school coach who is unbelievable. The youth league's up and running. And so it's just, man, you're only as good as the people you have around you. And I'm fortunate. I have a great administration and great people around me. And so that has helped immensely.
How special is, I know the old saying has always been, when you go to Bowling Springs and Chesnee, while they're in the same different district, it's two different places really in their own right. Nothing good or nothing bad either way. They're just two different communities. Yeah. Talk about the support that you've had up there from that community.
Oh God, man, they're with you nonstop, man. You should, the Chesnee faithful fill the stands every single game, and they're loud and they're behind you. They're the kind of people that have your back. If your back's against the wall, they got you. Chesnee is a very tight-knit community, man. It's like a big family. Everybody kind of knows everybody. I'll say this, they all adopted me in real quickly. You can't go to Food Line. My fiance and I, we moved over here now. You can't go to Food Line without seeing everybody in the community and everybody saying, hey, good game. The boys are playing good, this and that. And so it's a special place. You're right. It's a completely different place in its own regard. You're right. It's not right or wrong, or there's not a place, it's not better or worse, but it's a completely different place, but it is a very special community, and we are very blessed to be a part of it.
How much fun are you having this season?
Oh, it's a blast, man. It's been a blast, and it's because of the kids, man. The kids are fantastic. They're very coachable. They show up every single day and do what you ask them to do. They work extremely hard. They're positive, and they're one of the tightest knit groups that I've had and been around. They're all great friends off the court. You can't see one without seeing all the rest of them. They're just fun, man. They're a lot of fun, and I can't believe how fast this season has gone already. We're kind of in the home stretch now, but it's been a lot of fun to see how they've grown from June 1st, because June 1st we were looking around like this might be a long year, to now. It's special, man, and it's because of them. They just completely bought in.
Now, is the old saying and true that it's coaching years are kind of like dog years? You age 7 years every time you coach a season.
That is absolutely true. I haven't gotten much sleep. You don't get much sleep. There's no doubt about it. There are some long nights. It helps that I have a great fiance and good family support. But yes, that's true. It's so much fun, but it definitely wears on you a little bit. But it's so much fun, and like I said, it makes it so much easier when you got a great staff, great kids, great community. It makes it so much easier.
Your team came into this season with a lot of expectations. I mean, when you get in top 10 love in the polls, mm-hmm. How do you keep the kids in check? Because I mean, I know it's hard for kids, especially when you got parents, you got community members that they'll see the polls release and, hey, y'all are top 10 team in the state. Y'all are. Mm-hmm. How hard is it to keep kids in check, or do the kids just tune that out when it's coming around?
Well, there is an infection with success, right? You know, you have a little success, you start getting some publicity about it, and sometimes that can go to a team's head, or go to the coaching staff's head, or go to the community's head. But the maturity of our team has been great. We talk about it, we're proud of it. It's a goal that we had when we started this thing last year, and we've accomplished it pretty quickly to kind of get in that top 10 poll and beating top 10 teams and competing with them. So they should be proud of it. But you can't put too much stock into it, man. You kind of got to move on from it. You know, basketball is a funny game. Anybody can beat anybody on every night. Things can change real quick. Our preparation and the way we practice and the way we work needs to be the same, whether we're in the top 10 or top 5, or we're number 1, or if we are the worst team in the state. Nothing's going to change. And that's something that we've preached to our kids, and our kids do an incredible job of it. So, just having the maturity of our group has been great. They should be proud of it. We are all proud of them for doing that. But again, the preparation, the consistency, what we do is not going to change based on a ranking. And so we just got to keep on going, man. There's, although there's only a handful left, it's still a long season and anything can happen. So,
well, speaking of the upcoming season, you've played probably your toughest week you're gonna have all season. Mm-hmm. This past week, and the thing about it is that's what we didn't talk about it, but you played High Point on Tuesday and played them really well for the number 1 team in the state. Just came up a little bit short. Talk about that game for just a few minutes.
Well, man, our kids just came out fighting, man. I think they wanted to prove a point. I think they wanted to prove that they can compete with a team that's that good. And credit to High Point. They are very deep, very athletic. They got a lot of skilled players. And so credit to them. But, man, our kids came out firing. They came out fighting. I think we went into halftime with a 50-41 lead. So we were up 9 going into the half. And, in the second half, man, we fought. But, I think we kind of ran out of gas. We got a couple guys in foul trouble. Credit to High Point. They shot it unbelievably. I think they hit 12 threes against us, which was huge for them. But, man, after that game, we walked out with our heads held high. We weren't down about it. We were proud of our effort. We know that if we play with that kind of effort night in and night out, you're going to win a lot more than you lose. We have a better idea of them going into them next time we play them. That's the beauty of basketball is you get them twice, and the best part is we get them at home next time. And so understand we're going to fix some things that we need to fix, but we're going to fight just as hard as we fought at home next time we play them. But it was a great game. It was a game that I think showed our kids they can compete with anybody. So I'm proud of them, and I'm excited to get them again here in a couple weeks at home.
Now at home. Been the same way.
Yeah. At home, yeah, exactly. Then we got Lansing again at home.
Yeah, get them all in the same week one more time. As you get ready to wrap up your first trip through region play, you're gonna have a few out of conference games before you get back into region play. What's your thoughts as you go through about your team, about their placement so far in the region, as you get ready to wrap up that first trip through region play?
Well, like we still have 2 more region games that we'll play this week. We need to make sure that we handle business this week and win those 2, and then it's still anybody's league. The only team that doesn't have a loss right now is High Point, I believe. And so, it's still anybody's league. We've got to make sure we get these next 2, and when we go back through the region, we got to make sure, we win every one. So it's anybody's league, and yeah, you're right, we do. We have a few non-conference sprinkled in. I'm all about giving the kids a full schedule. And if we can play 26, I'm going to give them 26 because you don't want to short kids' games. Basketball, it doesn't last forever. So if the kids can be playing, we're going to give them the opportunity to play. And I wanted to play teams that were competitive, teams that were fairly local. So we got RS Central next week, and we're traveling up there, and that'll be good. And they're a great team. They always are. They're incredibly well coached. It's a tough place to go play, and it's only going to help us going back through the region to play them. We were invited to an MLK Day showcase at Westside High School, and we're playing one of the best teams, I think, in 4A in Lawrence, who has had an incredible season, who has a chance to go real deep in the playoffs in 4A. Well, that's only going to help us playing a team that is that good. It's only going to help us moving forward into the second part of our region. And then our last non-region game, we got Chase High School, who's local. They're about 10 minutes from us. We could throw a rock from Chesnee High and hit Chase. And we went over there last year, and so they're coming back over here this year. But I'm all about giving the kids, a full schedule and playing tougher teams in the non-region, playing competitive teams. That's only going to help us as we continue on in the region. So it'll be good, man.
We talked with Coach Martin a little earlier about a similar thing of the outer region, because you've played in the Region 2-5A and the competition level. And he talked about playing a tough region, outer region conference to get your guys ready for the region play, because that what the level is going to be. How important has that been for you because it feels like you took that same mentality when you took this Chesnee job of, I'm going to play the best so that my guys are ready.
Absolutely, man. It is. It's incredibly important, man. In order to get your team, to their ceiling and get them as prepared as they can be in the region, you have to play against great teams. It's part of the reason we schedule bigger schools. We schedule Broome, Chapman, and Woodruff every single year. Like you said, we scheduled Spartanburg Christian, who's been a fantastic team in Skeeza. Historically, has won a couple state championships. And so we went over to the Battle of the Border tournament where we got to see Woodruff again. You get to play Chapman for a third time. And so, it's incredibly important. I mean, you want to play the best people. You don't want to hide behind a weak schedule. You don't want to record pad. It's not doing anything for your team. And so it is. It's very important to play a tough non-conference schedule. And yes, I did. I took a lot from Coach Martin, but that was certainly one of the main things, was trying to have a tough non-league schedule.
You talked about it, and there's been stuff we've wrote about it and different things, but I don't know if anybody's ever actually got to hear it straight from your voice. And since we had the podcast now, you played Broome. You played a guy that a little bit about his coaching philosophies.
Yeah.
How strange or how fun, or as I've heard both of you say, a knot in the stomach is that game every year?
Man, you can't even really put it into words. It's hard because, Coach McManus and I, man, we're family. He believed in me as a freshman in high school. It was his first year at Boiling Springs, and I think kind of together we helped turn Boiling Springs around from what it was as a player, and we keep in touch nonstop. He's the reason I went and played college basketball. He's the reason I got into high school coaching. He's the reason that I got a head coaching job at a young age was because of his tutelage to me and his mentorship and his support. It's like you don't feel right. We've never had to be against each other. We're always for each other. While it's a great game for both of us to play each other because it's going to be competitive and it's going to help both teams' programs, but that's a game that's always bittersweet. Obviously, we both want to win. We're competitive as heck, but we hate having to beat each other. Fortunately, we came out on top twice this year, we split last year. But we came out on twice this year. So
I'm sure I'm sure you didn't let him know that.
I didn't. But seriously, if it wasn't for him, I'm not doing what I'm doing. So I mean, I love him to death. You know, he's done so much for me. It's very hard going to play those games. It is. You know, from the jump ball to the last buzzer, you know, it's very competitive, but after it's back to normal again. And so, but again, I can't thank him enough. You know, so many people have compared me to him. And it's not shocking, just because, man, he was, you know, I looked up to him in so many ways as a player and a coach. So, but yeah, it doesn't get any easier. It really doesn't.
I think I actually joked with somebody, and it may have been you, sent a photo of you coaching, and I said, what is the little bit man that's losing his mind about right here?
I've had a lot of people say that. A lot of times when I get up and I start screaming or my face gets a little red, or everyone, I've heard it a bunch. I've heard it in summer at team camp. I've heard it in fall leagues. I've heard it a lot. So, but listen, to me, it's not a bad thing because he's one of the greatest to ever do it in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. He has turned around every program that he has coached at. He is one of the best. And so it's a compliment to me, really.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. I know you got a lot. I know you got a lot going on now today with we're recording this with the snow.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you just like for people to know about your team that we haven't talked about today?
Well, I mean, we've kind of covered everything. We have a very exciting team. They're fun to watch. They play incredibly unselfish. There's great team camaraderie. And they play fast paced. They play together. We're deep. We got young guys. We got old guys. It's fun, man. It's fun. It's fun watching them compete. It's a joy for me to coach them, but it's a joy for me to also watch them compete and get better every single day. And so I think a lot of people need to come out and check us out I think we got 6 home games left or so. Come out to Chesnee, look up the schedule online, watch them, and enjoy watching them as much as I do. And let's pack the stands out. Let's finish this thing strong.
We at least know you got 2 top 10 matchups again.
Yes, but both these ones are at home.
Yeah, at least 2 more top 10 matchups.
Yeah, these 2 are at home. So,
well, Coach, I appreciate it, and I know the fans are going to love this. And just let everybody know, we're going to try to do this a little more often. I'm going to talk to Coach Baldinelli here in a little bit about a more consistent time for us to do it. And once again, Coach, I appreciate it, and look forward to the rest of the season. And go Eagles!
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. And again, thanks again for all you do, man. Like, the community sees it, and everyone appreciates it. So look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you. Thank you once again to Coach Martin and Coach Baldinelli for both joining us here on the Bowling Springs Sports Journal podcast. And once again, we want to thank our sponsor, Wings, etc.
Hey, do you want weekly specials on award-winning wings? Of course you do. And they're here at Wings, etc. Mondays is bone-in and boneless wings, and Thursdays is boneless wings, special pricing, Mondays and Thursdays, wings, etc. Well, go.
Always a great time, always a good place to go have fun with your friends. Once again, a big-time sponsor for us. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.